Right, that's what it was. You have a problem with the word contemplating a film for the night, so you had to edit that. And not you know that that person is the mother of your species and just admitted to her daughter that she's another species and she supersedes the Bible. Just like I said, I thought that God was telling me about your species. And so you had a flip out and then had to cause a blocking, just like the stuff she does. You are brain sick, your brains are melting, but there's a reason why you begin blocking. It's a reaction to things you don't like. Anyways, and sometimes it's a retaliation, I can tell. So I don't know if that's still part of your mixed brain as your binder completely melts away. Okay, so anyways, had my dinner. And like I said, the original posting that had to be blocked and edited because reality sank in that shouldn't be frightening. Okay. All that is your grandiosity. You call it an ego, we're going to call it your grandiosity. Okay. Where you don't want to be me, you don't want to be my species, you don't want to live here without slaves and fuel, okay, and pecking orders and all of that, but you're so wacko, no offense, that the thought that other people will be just cycling like this for all eternity and happiness drives you mad. It's just part of your species. Clearly, that will go away. You need to stop thinking about it. Just tell yourselves that me and my species will be suffering like in the tribulation. Because to you, that would be a hell on earth. My way of life would be a hell on earth to you. That's why you would in Exodus 20. There's not a reason to flip out. All that is a rationality because you're mad that other people will be happy. Don't even view it like a missed opportunity because you don't want that. That's not your heart's desire because you're created to do something else. It's just, no offense, but you're a terrible species to try to reason with. It's like you're the people in Invasion of the Body Snatchers or those Mars films where something takes over and you keep fighting it and fighting it and fighting it. Okay. It's inevitable because you cannot survive here. Your way of life is not sustainable and that period of time has concluded. And in my opinion, you'll be happier when you go into the correct physical bodies. I told you, she told me that years ago. Not going to be in these physical bodies, right? And part of it is a refusal to understand that other people will be doing that. So it's what it is too. It's probably in relation to the mixed brain, where you can't really accept still that you have no higher thought. So what you're imagining going into another species is terrifying to you because you think you're going to lose something you don't even possess. You have no higher thought. You're just like those beings in the wrong body. That's why you're all miserable. That's why you have so much rage and you get mad and you're not happy like other people. Okay? Really. That's why you don't understand artists and athletes and stuff. Really. Okay? I mean, I can understand a little bit because of the way we were raised, where you have an aversion somewhat to greenies, right? Environmentalists and stuff. People with the hacky sacks. Okay, and you still haven't come around, so that's just not not your deal. It's not your thing. Okay, that's why in 2011 you didn't go and out there. Don't forget the what was it? Don't forget the. It's something like this. Don't forget the promise. On. And there's like a clap in her head bow. On. You don't even know what that is because you're not as old as you think you are. That's why you weren't out there doing it at the earthquake. You weren't soaking meat. You weren't honoring the Sabbath. That's why you weren't doing it. You're not as old as you think you are. That's why you don't know about the involuntary head nods and head turns, and that's why spirit walks and all that. That's way before your time, even though you think you're old and you're older than me and you know all this stuff about a chess game and stuff. You're not old. Because it's all, she doesn't know that. She doesn't know that, and it's probably for the best. That was all explained. So all you can picture is just these people on horseback, right? Just, oh yeah, following you around like they're gonna be you, but they have to ride around on a horse. It's that freaky. It's that freaky. It's like those people showed up in those emergency response vehicles at the hotel. It's like that, but like just people on horseback riding around, just profoundly retarded. Like they're doing what you're doing and they're not because you're on foot. And then they just get perverse and do just wickedly disgusting things. So, anyways, explained a lot of the stuff about how apparently when my people probably quote unquote passed away, I don't know if we actually on foot left, but it's just probably like what happened with the Roman Republic, like has happened here. Where just a bunch of profoundly retarded primates took over a system and it's their perverted version of it. It's sort of your whole entire United States of America is that. It's like a perverted version of Europe. Right? Just people that are profoundly insane, like trolls that thought they were going to come here and build their own empires. It's clearly nothing like the Roman Republic. I explained that. These people don't have the brain power to build aqueducts and make Roman baths and all the art and architecture. It's the same as Egypt. Right? Like people like, even people like Lizzie Borden acknowledge that we're all dumb. Right? Because I told her, I didn't get into it. I said, that's because it's a lesson. Like, why are we so dumb? Why can't we do these things that we thought that we should be able to do somehow? Because of the money. Because of the money, right? You give that up when you refuse to stop enslaving people and living in a way that Almighty God said you're not to be living here, in particular on this land. That's why. So, oh, that's right. I'm supposed to look up something called woke. She was telling me all these things. Well, it's not really, I don't mean it in a, what do you call it? Disparaging manner towards her. It's just I don't pay attention to that stuff. Right, some of that has got something to do with the world system, so just be careful because they'll scatter your brain with that stuff. It's like metaphysics. Because these people that are in an extinction are all over the place. Their brains are melting and they're off into outer space. The stuff they're talking about, it's all part of a brain disease. Like you go completely into a manic psychosis. You should be familiar with what that is. Okay. In Nazi idealism, like they supersede the Bible, just like I thought he was explaining to me. Some of it could be because of a previous, or it's just him explaining to me. That's kind of for other people to determine, but I think in some respects it's probably supposed to be related to a previous because people need that information so they're not afraid of how this works. I would ask Richard about that because some people recognize people or whatever. Right. I can't really help you out with that in terms of, yeah, just. Oh, I explained the thing about the Lusitania. I would probably be pretty confident that I was on the Lusitania, but I wouldn't have any idea about a name or anything, just from dreams that aren't dreams. Something about massive amounts of alligators. That would be different. I know they seem all bad, don't they? They seem all nightmarish and not positive things. I know, that's terrible, but I have the one thing about, like, I was looking, I didn't think they were my hands, but now I think they are. Right, I thought that I went to visit someone at a nursing home that was wicked, wicked old, and that I got freaked out by her hands, but I think I'm messing up memories. I think it's actually my hands. Just wicked veiny like that, but there's like a meaning to it, right? Like the map of Egypt and the 4-1 and the MYH and stuff, like there's a meaning to it. I think sometimes the memories are like that for some reason. It's almost like not like a tadpole, like I told you, like you're startled, like it's something about like the Holy Spirit startles you because it's the delusion is disturbed that you have to be in, apparently. Right? It's like that. It's just sort of like you get jiggled and you go, oh, right, like the thing about the bird that was dead on the ground and then it came back to life and flew away. Like it's the same sort of. Sometimes it's a frightening feeling for some reason. Once there was the thing at the camping, the Harold Parker. I mean, that's the other thing too, is sometimes I wonder if I'm mixing up memories. Like I think it was Harold Parker, and then I ask them, and they don't know what I'm talking about, but I think they forget things. Right. So, anyways, there was a beetle on the ground, and I was all creeped out by it because I was a little kid, and then all of a sudden this bird came down and went, oh, and took it away. Right, like the beetle scared me, but then the bird came and took it away, and that wasn't scary. I told this thing about this definitely happened at the house. There was a pigeon up in the gutter, and it was like a storm, and I was like praying and praying, praying, because I was worried about it because it was like a snowstorm coming in or something. I was praying and praying and praying for it to just fall so I could help it because I thought it would die up in the gutter. And then all of a sudden it did. And when it did, I got that wicked, like, it's like that moment where you just, he obviously does it where it's like, you definitely know that he's real. And then George Johnson put it in a box. And I think they at least pretended they took it to the vet. I don't know, probably died, but right, like, that definitely happened. Whether or not a bird was actually dead on the ground and came back to life, I mean. But it was like the same type of thing because clearly, if that ever happened, you'd go, what the hell just happened? Like, for real, what just happened? The Lusitania one is absolutely horrible. That's why I don't like to call it up. Absolutely horrible. Like, yeah, just there's a reason why people can't remember things. Okay. Right. I explained some of it. I don't want to see. I don't even want to do it. because then I start remembering things. There's the one where I thought it had something to do with the basement at her house. Because in her basement, you go down, and then there was like that bar, and then there's like a doorway that goes into some sort of storage closet. But like in my dream, it's like these double doors, and then we're like walking through them. It's probably some sort of like European, if you've ever been to Europe or you've seen some of the films where they have those doors that open up and there's like a big thing like that. Sometimes it's kind of like it's hard to tell. I guess it doesn't really matter, other than, like I said, the testimony to people. But it only really takes one. So just stick with the Lusitania one, even though I have no idea who I would be on that thing. So, right, like sometimes I think he's just explaining history and it's like you know it. But if you're wrong, then you're just making up stuff in your head. But stuff like how you make Roman baths and stuff, a person wouldn't just know that. How you make bombs, that's another one. How do you make bombs? So I remember when I was a little too that I thought that I was walking by the Fairbanks house once on a day like today. Just it was like great cinematography and looking at the house, and that was one of those kind of like weird, creepy memories too. Like you're in the ring, but it's real life, and it said 1620. I always thought it said 1620 on it, and it doesn't, because that's part of the reason. That's how he does it, right? Like Thanksgiving, right? That's why. That's probably where they had the first Thanksgiving, right there. So, anyways, and I'm pretty sure that there used to be water. I don't know if it happened this time. You'd have to ask other people my age from Dedham, if ever, when we were like in junior high school, if Memorial Field ever flooded and looked like a lake, if that's ever happened. Because that could have been where they rerouted water. Right. In like that road that goes to Papagino's, I'm pretty sure that was like a river. Right. Like that has gotten flooded, and since I've been up here, it's done that. That's why that road keeps cracking and stuff, because it shouldn't even be there. That was water. So, anyways, the CNN thing I thought was funny. I know I'm not even supposed to encourage them, but it's just right. This is just the way it's going to be now. So, obviously, it doesn't mean they wrote it with that intent. It's just things that I think are funny. Like, Doug was the guy said that's what his name was, and it's probably that guy that discovered it. I'm not saying I'm talking human, but that is how God would explain to me who that person is. And then I gained knowledge of history and stuff from it. And I thought it was funny because he goes, "Oh, and you look pretty good too. I was expecting an old lady under there." Right? Because we're all just wrapped up like mummies trying not to die outside the DTA office. It was wicked cold that night. I did give him a blanket, but I feel bad because I probably could have gave him a second blanket. I don't know. I would have been cold. And he wanted to like try to generate body heat like he was Patrick. It's like, I gotta know you longer than one night. Yeah, I know. It sucks. I didn't have any plastic bags or anything then. And that woman was just walking back and forth because she was probably freezing too. I don't know if he knew her. At first, I thought he showed up there with her. He was another one with all the little cigarette butts too. Well, I don't think I've done that. The only time I do that is when they're my cigarettes. I don't know. I may have once or twice done it with someone like in the family, but I really don't like to smoke snipes. No, only my own. Yeah, I'm not judging you. Just yeah, to me, yeah, as bad as my smoking was, addiction. I guess it wasn't that bad. Yeah, but I understand it. Yeah, smoking sucks. No, I never want to smoke. Honest to God, maybe like the first couple of years after you quit or something. It, what happens is you really, really learn to interpret your emotions. It's not a cigarette. Your brain doesn't even think of a cigarette. Like at first you go, it's not that. That's why I explained it to you, to tell yourself that, because it's not a lie. It's like cognitive behavioral therapy. And then you don't even think, it doesn't even register anymore with a cigarette. Yeah. I'd say it's usually rage, uh, which clearly sometimes you're hungry, but I think it's mostly rage. It's not even hunger, right? I mean, if you're trying to go all day without eating, then you're trying to put stimulants in your body to not eat, right? That's why if you do a really good walk, you can just eat whatever you want. You don't have to worry about it and eat crunchy stuff because it's I call it a rage. I think it's a rage. That's why you're smoking, right? Eh, that's why I do sort of. I figured that's why people are smoking those stimulants because it's like a cigarette, but even more so, right? That's. I guess some people, the drugs they're using is because they're so depressed, right? I explained the horrifying nature of methamphetamine and to stop using it because of the hallucinogen. Okay, and that if you weren't taking a hallucinogen, you would feel just scared, right? That when you keep smoking it for days like that, it's not because the drug is going away and you want more of it. It's because the hallucinogen wore off, and that's terrifying. That's a terrifying feeling. They give you the hallucin. It's made to destroy people. It's made to drive people insane and destroy their brain matter. So please, please stop using it. You're probably better off using crack cocaine, right? It's just drink some Red Bulls or something. Just not that stuff. Adderall. It's all the same thing. I'm not going to get in another argument about it. It's all methamphetamine. That's what Michael was smoking. So hopefully he stopped using that because I explained it to him. I know, could you imagine someone that nice just becoming like sadistically insane and then becoming perversely insane like a little monkey? How horrifying that would be for people around him. Anyways, it scares me. It scares me, that drug, after reading about it, reading about the ingredients and stuff. It scares me. Um, I don't see how that would have been something that Native Americans gave out because it's like a chemical formula. I could see them giving people like mushrooms or something, or they people somehow got addicted to opium because they weren't using it correctly. I explained it. In my opinion, my recall, opium is an end of life drug, and it has to be administered by a person who won't use it. Like there's a death tent that you go into because you're gonna die, right? You don't come out of it. You don't get a prescription for opium in the natural world, right? You go into it so that you're not suffering when you die. It's not a recreational drug. I guess what they did is they made a artificial one, a synthetic one, so you can keep taking it because I'm pretty sure opium just kills you. Yeah. That's my understanding. That you don't just keep using opiate. Like you just die. Maybe your body doesn't really exactly metabolize it or something. We'd have to look it up. I would think it's usually probably administered in a smoke form, or you blow it into someone's face or something like that because the person is approaching death, so they're not really swallowing things and stuff. If I had to guess, I went through this whole thing once where it was like dentistry, right? You just have a satchel of stuff because you don't use drugs. So I know someone like Patrick. I go, Patrick, don't you know the golden rule of distributing drugs? You don't use the drugs. That's right. I didn't really get into that with used to be Lizzie Borden because she told me a while ago she doesn't believe in reincarnation anymore. So I didn't want to say anything that would sort of like upset the conversation. I mostly just listened. Some of it I went because it reminded me of that chick at the library that does the nice watercolors. I went, it's got to be some sort of previous that's coming through where they're just like demented colonists or something. Like Southern Baptist, and when you start talking about the Lord and stuff, and you go, Lord Vader, Darth Vader. She wants to know how she could birth us. Because a person has a psyche, they have a soul. That's sort of what my understanding is. In that it provides protection. Because I said to her, I go, that's how I'm sitting in this house. As mean as she is to me, she's actually protecting me from other members of her species. Right? She goes, she's not just mean to you, she's mean to everyone. Maybe it just affects me more. Well, she doesn't have to live with it. Cindy would probably say clearly it doesn't affect you more. Since you've been sober the entire time you've been up here, it clearly doesn't affect you more. I guess, yeah. Well, it's like a detachment early on, I guess, which is not sociopathy if it was viewed that way. You come to an acceptance that you're not going to have a regular mother, I guess. Or a regular father, for that matter. I'm not even going to have a regular father next time, apparently. I'm just kidding. I don't know, Michael. I think maybe, yeah, sit this one out in terms of parenting. Just, I don't know, somebody else will have to be available. I told you that there's people all over the place, right? We have people in Pakistan, as you call it. We have people in India, as you call it. They're everywhere. So, I don't really want that. I just pray to God that's not what he's saying to me right now, because you just go, with how messed up everybody is, you're just somebody that isn't going to vaccinate you and feed you pork. I know it's almost like you have to go, am I going to actually, depends on what you're looking for. Depends on what you're looking for. You could go, well, because we've had this conversation too, like, but this was about something else. If you were going to be reborn, would you rather be this attractive but have polycystic again? Or be not attractive and not have polycystic? It's hands down. I'd rather be attractive and have polycystic, yeah. Really be honest with yourself when you're having these conversations with him, right? Just why would you need to be 80 years old and just be ugly? Because your whole life is going to be miserable and you know it. Right? You got to be honest with yourself. That's why about the features and stuff, all this garbage. There are a lot of people that aren't white that are beautiful. So please, I'm not even saying that. But all this garbage about black doesn't crack and all this other weird stuff about skinny people look older sooner. So what? Even if that was true, I know you go, what the hell's the sense of living long and looking young when you're ugly? Everything isn't about looking young. I mean, clearly, that's just a coping mechanism for ugly people. For real. I'm just being honest. You just go, yeah, I like these features. It's like a good example is what's her face? Megan Fox's previous Vivian Lee. That's a good example because clearly by 50, 53, it was over. It was long over. But when she was younger, she was absolutely stunningly beautiful. So you go, right. I mean, there are some women that are just like fat and not attractive their entire lives, and then they get to be like 50 or 60, and because they're so fat, they think they don't have wrinkles and they look young, and they go, well, and now they look old and because their face is thin, and you go, yeah, and they still partied like this. Hot dudes who have that look in their eye when they're talking to you. Some of them might have married a handsome man and stuff. You just go, yeah, life doesn't work like that. No, not for me. Because this is the thing, is it's sort of like they've had to use a coping for their own mind that isn't even true in reality. Yeah, like there's so many people now that I know that are about my age that I can see it too. You go, when you're around other people that are attractive, you go, they're still attractive, right? It's a lot of people that you see that are older weren't attractive when they were young, right? When you're not around people older that were attractive when they were younger, you don't know that, right? You just go, it's like Yul Brynner. They're older, but they're still hot, like George Papad and Yul Brynner. Right? You just, yeah, I mean, tell some young dude that tell some 50-year-old dude who was never attractive, who thinks now that he looks younger than 70-year-old Yul Brynner. Right? You just go, but yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure because now she's Megan Fox, so clearly she wanted to be good looking. She didn't care that she died at 53, is what I'm saying, because I'm sure she had those conversations. Anyways. Well, now you have this. Any dude that's like young like that, you go, okay, so I'll be 50, like I'll be like 40, 49, depending on when you die. Okay, and you'll be 22 and you're still going to agree to marry me. I don't know, but we tried. There's always a we, because there probably is a we. We tried to marry, what's his face? Barbara Streisand's husband. Now I can't remember his friggin' name. James Brolin. We tried to marry James Brolin. He's like 80 years old, dude. We were watching old George Papad. So yeah, we already did it. And that's a guy we know. That's a guy we know. We're watching like 80-year-old Alex in these interviews. Like, we're going to marry him like that. Like he's 80. Oh, what the fuck's that noise? Did she actually shut one of the doors down there? I don't know if I should go down there. Make sure she's alright. That was a loud noise. No, I can hear a TV blasting, so there's not a possible way she can hear me. She's been in not the greatest mood today. Yesterday was a way better day. Okay, now I hear other noises, so she's doing something. Just making sure that's the TV I hear. Oh, not a person down there. Well, it basically comes down to this. She's like a little child, and she gets mad and jealous because Cindy and I had a conversation. And we're not in a fight, right? Because our entire lives, that's all she ever did was try to pit us against each other. Yeah, she's just a completely insane person, but she does obviously have dementia now. That's how she gets. Right? She doesn't like it when any of us are having a conversation, even when she's in it. Yeah, it's just the most bizarre thing to observe as like completely recovered and separated from it as an adult woman. And a mother myself, at least I was a mother. It's the most bizarre thing to observe a person that is that mentally retarded and narcissistic and self-involved and just has like the mind of a literal, just out of control, demanding, spoiled child. Right? Just it is. It's just the most, and just clearly she's been catered to her entire life, and just some massive atrocity. It's just like where clearly her species likes that, and that's what they promote and give money to and stuff. So these people don't even have to work or nothing. She doesn't have to work. She doesn't have to raise her children. She's never investigated while we were growing up or anything. Just, it's stunning. She's upset about something. Right, just. I said this tonight too. I'm like, that was a good visit, but I gotta remember probably not to have coffee next time because I'm gonna be up all night. I mean, I guess it's not that big of a deal. It's not like I have to get up for work. Well, I'm learning something too because I kind of thought that maybe when I went to sleep at night that he was up, like down there hanging out with her or something, and apparently he's not. He sleeps all that time. I don't know unless during the day he's not sleeping in that. Right? But it's like all that time that he was spending in that room with her, he clearly didn't even want to be doing that. Right, like it's almost like he didn't know where he was supposed to be sleeping. She wouldn't let him stay out in the trailer. She used to follow him out there. I told you that. Yeah, because from what I can see, he attempts to watch television with her in the morning when he gets up, and all that happens is a fight. Right, it's similar to what was going on, except he can actually get away from her. Right, I went downstairs today because I didn't take a nap. I think, didn't I have to come up here because she was already getting uncomfortable with me being downstairs? Didn't I say I want to eat my food down here? Okay. So then I came up here and I didn't take a nap like yesterday, and then I went downstairs for something. And then she had her coat on and everything and started heading out the back door. She does that like she thinks she hears him telling her to get in the car, or she has no concept of time or something. I don't know if she thought he was in the trailer and she was going to go looking for him. She started doing some of the same behavior she was doing at the house just today, like I didn't notice her doing it before. Right, front of the house, back of the house, she started doing that a little bit today. It doesn't mean I have to leave. Right, it's just clearly it could be triggered from that. Because she's insane and she's acting like some sort of whacked out ape. Right? Um, she seemed a little bit shaky tonight, but she hasn't been like that because she wouldn't eat me food. Hopefully she's down there eating all kinds of food. She never ate, from what I could tell, she'd never eat the burger and fries that he made her. Unless when he cooked that food, he didn't eat it. And she ate hers, and that was his sitting down there the entire time. Yeah, because when Cindy was here, he came down, he grabbed a plate, put it in the microwave, and left. And there was some sort of thing between her and him, and then suddenly he said, I'm gonna go upstairs. Like, at first he seemed to play it off like he didn't care, but maybe he does, and then he was like, yeah, I'm taking this opportunity to get the fuck away from you right now. That's why I said, well, obviously, that's why I was tracked down at Quincy, which is fine. Even if at first the mindset was, fuck her, blah, 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 and we're gonna do this, that, and the other, and then you realize you cannot be in a fucking house alone with this person because she's so insane. It could be that, it could be he realizes that he's not feeling well. Right? It's just, no, I'm not mad about it. It's just, I wouldn't want to be alone in the house with her either. He even said something about, I think what happened, someone come in to help out with the rent. Like, that sounds like an excuse because you don't want to just say, I don't want to be in the house with her alone, right? Or, I don't know how much longer she's gonna live, or I'm not feeling well. I don't even know if it's true that he's been passing out. That's what she told me. Right, because then when I said, when did he pass out, she doesn't answer me because he never mentioned anything like that to me. Oh, yeah, because she will just straight out make up stuff. So if Cindy hasn't asked him about it, I wouldn't even believe it's true. I've witnessed her doing it right in front of me where she just completely makes up things. She did the thing about channels open right in front of Cindy tonight. She just keeps saying that I want channel 7. Yeah, she's just completely insane. You're the one who keeps putting it on there. Mary never said anything about putting it on channel 7. The 7th door is supposed to be a horror story that I was joking about writing. Nothing channel 7. Jesus God. Yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't know if other people are able to talk about that stuff with other people. I know every time I try to talk about anything, like when I used to try to talk about Bobby Long or James Franco, or now this thing with Karen and Michael, it's just different sort of interesting conversations. Yeah, like, how do you explain to someone that you don't really have an interest in talking about the Bible? Right, like, I I can't discuss anything like that in front of her. No. And just even discussing it with, I know that's why other people do it for me. Clearly, that's why other people do it for me, because they just get mad and start going, how am I supposed to live, and this, that, and the other, and then sort of infer that I'm some sort of a layabo, and I'm taking advantage of people, and like, it's just, that's why it's very, very unusual for people to try to, I mean, not try to, for people to come to me with an honest, how do I not die, or what's going on, or whatever. It's really unusual for that to happen. God usually sends me places, and usually those people just sort of have that look like they thought that, and it's like a confirmation of what they thought was going on. The 11th step people that I meet outside at the shelter and stuff. Right? Maybe even an AA meeting or the food pantry, like I said, something like that. So, well, it's common for people to end up at AA or at Skid Row because there's nothing in the world that can make them happy. Right? Like, it's not like someone like Robert Downey Jr., except as far as I know, didn't he keep making films? Okay. Like someone like that, like, just he can't stop using drugs. Someone like Steven Tyler, right? You can't stop using drugs. It doesn't matter how much money you have, stuff like that. Because that's sort of what my life course was this time. And then you start going, what is this all about? And you actually mean it. It's not sort of just you're afraid to die or something, or because people like that will immediately take a crumb of a doctrine. They'll immediately, as soon as any out is given them for a doctrine, they take it. Yeah, I mean, it should make sense. If you're happy in the world and everything's going well, then why would you renounce everything you have? It's people that are misfits that have never been able to function in the world, and then and they understand because they don't do keep saying everything's because they don't have money. Yeah, like I mentioned too, this is sort of off topic a little bit, but I said to Cindy that Karen has a lot of male friends. I go, that might be good for Tommy. She goes, or for me. And she laughed. And I go, well, I did actually think that, but I wasn't gonna say it. Right. So anyways, I was saying that Karen's still at that thing where she wants to have a boyfriend. So I think that's part of the reason she can't stop going to bars. Because Cindy said she doesn't go to bars anymore, which is good because she was doing that. Right, so that's good because that's why I said Karen's still at this thing where she's got to have a boyfriend. She's almost 60. And we had the whole conversation about how she's gonna sober up and she's gonna figure herself out. So when she moves to Hawaii, she can meet someone and be ready for it. Yeah. And then next thing you know, Jerry's telling me she's back with Mike. And even if she's not, I thought I saw her walking with AJ. So you go, what the hell is this? I don't know. I don't know if it is yet another excuse to use or they really do want that. Right, but it depends on the person. If you're not a human being, then maybe not. But what you actually want is God. That's what you want. She began sort of talking about that in the context of Jesus. Right, what you want is God, because only God can provide that type of love to you, not boyfriend. Right, because we all fall short of the glory of God. He's the only, I don't even know if I should call him a being that can provide what you're looking for. It's not going to come from Mike at the bar. She might go, but yeah, you still like dudes. Yeah, but I've been doing this for like 12 years. Right. Not over God. I wouldn't give up God and my sobriety for anyone. That's why I don't go out with, that's part of the reason I don't go out with people that use. Right, because if I chose a dude over my sobriety, I wouldn't be sober. Because I always had dudes when I was drinking. Right, so I obviously don't choose a dude over my sobriety. Well, it's a little bit insulting, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's untrue that I would, if I gave up my children against my will because of God, why would I give up God for a dude? Couldn't I still have God and my children if I didn't stop drinking? I mean, couldn't I, no, couldn't I still have dudes and my children if I didn't stop drinking? Of course, that's the saddest part of it all. That's the saddest part of it all. I'd still be married because the dude didn't care that I was sleeping with other dudes. He just didn't want me to get a divorce. That's how they operate. They don't care if you sleep or not. They don't. Trust me. If you're married to some dude like that, they don't. Right? They would prefer that you stay married and have affairs, as you call it, without lying to them about it. Anyways, and you're interchangeable. It doesn't matter who they're with. It's just an illness that they have. So I could still have dudes and my children if I kept drinking. But I don't think I could have God doing that. No. No, I don't think it works like that. I think sometimes in early recovery, you think that you can have God and all of those things, and I don't think you can. I don't think you can have God and alcohol and drugs, no. So you should be able to have God and your children, yeah. Well, I have to not care because God has his way of doing things, but I'm not ignorant. So people probably, every single person probably goes, oh, so she lost her kids because of drinking. Right? You just go, you can't care. I can't care. Right? Which is clearly that's probably the doctrine they make up, even though that doesn't make any sense. But well, right, Karen as an example. why didn't she lose her kids then if you lose your kids because you're drinking? And why wouldn't I be getting alimony if I lost my kids because of drinking? Some of it is because it's people that don't even know what married people are anymore. That's part of it. They don't understand marital law. They just look at me like, why aren't you getting DTA or this, that, and the other? That's not marital law. I'm supposed to get alimony, which has nothing to do with children. It has nothing to do with children. And that's all people that are out of wedlock, where all of a sudden your money goes away when your kids are 18 and you got to kick them out of your house. That has nothing to do with marital law. That has nothing to do with alimony. Anyways, the kids would still be living with me in their 20s and I'd still be collecting $40,000 a year for the rest of my life. At least, unless he started making more money, then I'd make more. It's a percentage of his income. Anyways, unless it's a percentage of his income, what he was making at the divorce, maybe. Right? Which would be $40,000 a year for the rest of my life. It has nothing to do with my kids could be 30 still living with me and I'm collecting $40,000 a year alimony. Anyways, so I went over how Social Security doesn't affect alimony because I looked it up. So, right, I could have been collecting. I could be batshit crazy, right? In collecting Social Security and collecting alimony. You don't lose alimony because you're mentally ill. So that doesn't add up either. But it's exactly what I said. That's why you're asked those certain questions. Well, why aren't I getting alimony then? Why aren't I collecting Social Security? She did. She did that thing. She goes, did you think of me at all? She can't. Right? She can't. She's nowhere. I mean, someone like Kelly, not to be mean, because I don't even mean it like that, is far more rational in a recovery process than she is. Sometimes it has nothing to do with even how long you've abstained from your drug of choice, right? Because I just had a whole conversation with her about stuff. And others. I mean, I've met women who are still actively using that are more advanced in their recovery. Because they admit that they screwed up as mothers. That's what I mean. They're not still in a thing where everyone's out to get them and see how that happened to me too, and that's why that happened to me. It does happen to people, but that's not why that happened to you. It doesn't even matter. She probably will never get to that. She'll never get to that, and that's all right. But it's difficult when you're sitting there listening to it. No, I didn't, because you're not me, and everything that's happened to you is not related to things that have happened to me. So I would say that perhaps certain things in her life are because people somehow envy her based on looks, but not the main things that she's talking about. Right. So, and the fact that she's not a nun. Right. It doesn't mean that she hasn't had injustice or whatever, but it's difficult when you keep trying to compare yourself to a nun who's completely innocent and a complete victim of an insane pack of animal primates. Right? It's just, anyways. Well, it's right. If you wanted to get into the deep psychology, some of it is a doctrine. Right. Some of it is a doctrine where she's still trying to make up some reason, um, like a karma. It's part of psychopathic thought. I mean, it seems like she's trying, but it's part of psychopathic thought. Because it all, like, it's sort of like, why have you not Exodus 20? Right, like, because she's still talking like I've been on some sort of a lesson that she already did or something, and I'm supposed to understand her. Like, I'm in a comic lesson because of something that happened to her. Like, I still sort of get that sense from her. That's just what she's going to do the rest of her time here, right? Because we all Exodus 20 into 2011. But anyways, this is an hour already, so, and it's 11:30 almost, so I should try to go to sleep.